has come to our family. You remember our venerable house? Opulent and imperial, gazing proudly from its stoic perch above the moor. I lived all my years in that ancient, rumor-shadowed manor, fattened by decadence and luxury. And yet I began to tire of conventional extravagance. Singular, unsettling tales suggested the mansion itself was a gateway to some fabulous and unnameable power. With relic and ritual, I bent every effort towards the excavation and recovery of those long-buried secrets, exhausting what remained of our family fortune on swarthy workmen and sturdy shovels. At last, in the salt-soaked crags beneath the lowest foundations, we unearthed that damnable portal of antediluvian evil. Our every step unsettled the ancient earth. But we were in a realm of death and madness. In the end, I alone fled laughing and wailing through those blackened arcades of antiquity, until consciousness failed me. You remember our venerable house, opulent and imperial. It is a festering abomination. I beg you, return home, claim your birthright, and deliver our family from the ravenous, clutching shadows of the darkest dungeon.
Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Bedomy and this is Darkest Dungeon, a 2D side-scrolling dungeon crawler with turn-based combat. And as some people claim, Dark Souls meets RTS in 2D genre. A statement that I cannot deny or agree with because I never played this game before. I decided to keep myself in the dark in order to make this into a stream for my friend's birthday, but my internet connection didn't allow for it, so you can enjoy this in a recorded format. I'm just checking for hidden options, but there doesn't seem to be any of them. So let's continue on, despite the warning that this shouldn't be played with the DLC if this is my first time. So let's start off with the darkest difficulty, which is considered normal for this game, and it should offer a decent length and a decent challenge. So I'll just rename the campaign into My Campaign and enable the mods. As I was preparing myself for the stream, I decided to take a look on Reddit to see what mods are recommended. And I saw a bunch of them, so I decided to download as many of them as possible. And that's a decision I'm regretting on the spot. Why isn't there an option to enable all mods immediately? Or at the very least the ability to shift-click and select everything. I can understand that the Red Hook didn't count on the possibility of modding community growing so big, but they should have been prepared for this possibility. Because at the moment it feels like handling paperwork in order to pass through the door. I apologize for the incoherent way of talking, but I have some health problems and it's preventing me from talking fluently. And finally, the last mod is installed. As you saw, most of these mods are related to Dark Souls in one way or another, and I intend to find more mods that can enhance the experience of this Let's Play. So if you noticed any mods that I missed, let me know in the comments.
You will arrive along the old road. It winds with a troubling, serpent-like suggestion through the corrupted countryside, leading only, I fear, to ever more tenebrous places. There is a sickness in the ancient, pitted cobbles of the old road, and on its writhing path you will face viciousness, violence, and perhaps other damnably transcendent terrors. So steel yourself, and remember there can be no bravery without madness. The old road will take you to hell, but in that gaping abyss,
we will find our redemption.
You committed suicide right after sending the letter. How can we find redemption? I can try to clean up the mess you made, but that will take some time. A lot of time now that the caretaker is gone. And I don't even want to know what's hiding in the old road. Bandits? Wild animals? Plague-ridden graveyard? I guess there's only one way to find out. The hamlet is within our reach. We cannot back away. Gentlemen, scavenge what you can for the stagecoach and gather your supplies. After we bury the groundskeeper, we'll depart for the hamlet. Alright, we have a torch and some food supplies. That should last us until we reach our destination. If this map is accurate. Only one way to find out.
Brigands have run up these lanes. Keep to the side path. The hamlet is just ahead.
So it's trouble. But as long as we have a light source with us, our chances of survival increase. With the torch at full capacity, we can dodge easier, scout easier, and monsters will probably get surprised if they see us. Well, we'll see them first and surprise them.
Dispatch this thug in brutal fashion, that all may hear of your arrival.
And speak of the devil, we managed to surprise our first enemy. So let's follow my ancestor's suggestion and dispatch him quickly. As I already said at the beginning of the video, this game is turn-based, and positioning plays a key role in everything. So I'll be taking my time in order to read what my characters can do and how effective are they against certain positions. The Highwayman seems like a jack of all trades. His Open Vein ability can cause bleeding and it also debuffs the target. And his Grape Shot ability allows him to attack and debuff 3 targets simultaneously. The Pistol Shot allows him to attack from the back and do moderate damage. And the Tracking Shot buffs him up and it will also de-stealth an enemy. Nice. Unfortunately, some abilities can only be used on specific positions. Since we're dealing with only one bandit, he is in the front, so we can only use Grape Shot or Open Vein. And since I don't want to waste ammunition on one person, I'm just going to open him up. Lovely. We managed to debuff him and cause bleeding. What more can I ask for? Now let's take a look at the Crusader. His Smite ability is a pretty basic sword attack that does 6 to 12 damage, and has a 3% chance of critical hit. Pretty basic. But then we have Zealous Accusation, which is a simultaneous accusation of 2 opponents and it does some damage. I'll see what it does later on in the game. We also have Stun and Bulwark of Fate. It marks the Crusader and buffs his defenses. So I'm guessing he is the tank of the group. But for now we'll just attack with a sword and get rid of the opponent. And loot the corpse. Alright, 50 gold. That seems like a pretty decent reward. And looks like we get stress the lower the life gets. Light, not life. So let's check the tent, or in this case curio, which happens to be a tent in the area, and see what we find. Some valuables. An emerald and jade, which are worth around 1,000 gold. Good find. And oh boy.
An ambush. Send these vermin a message. The rightful owner has returned, and their kind is no longer welcome.
That's a big one. And we're getting attacked first, but we managed to dodge. Excellent. Alright, let's concentrate on the fat ass. But first, I want to see what the Grape Shot does. How it works, actually. So, let's take a shot at the enemy. On second thought, the big guy has 35 health, which is a very considerable amount. And I think he's taking up 2 spaces. So I think it's the best... I think my best bet is to get rid of him first and then concentrate on the guy with the gun. Alright, we managed to debuff him and bleed him out. So let's try to stun him. The stun hits, but he resists it. Alright, another open vein should do the trick. I wonder if some effects stack up. Yes they do. If we could do enough damage, we get hit. -2 dodge for 3 rounds. Not much of a problem. It's our turn, we can attack the big guy, and if we do 11 or more damage, he should bleed out. And we get a 12. The Fetzel goes down and the Sharpshooter comes forth. Which is definitely a bad position for him because he cannot access his more devastating abilities. So let's open his veins up and see what he does. He rushes a shot and hits us for 4 damage. But it's not much of a problem, he's low on health and it's our turn. So we can just use basic smite and finish him off.
Continue the onslaught.
And see what we got. Deeds, portrait, and a torch. The torch can be used to increase the light level, and since there is no gold value attached to the deeds and portraits, I'm going to guess that there is some form of currency as well. I'll probably see what they do in the hamlet, but first I'm going to open the chest and see what's inside it. I'm glad that the game lets me choose if I want to go home or continue exploring after the mission is finished. That gives me extra time to learn how controls work and how to experiment with certain abilities and items. For example, I just learned that the right click activates consumables, and anything with the word trap in it is dangerous. Just for the record, I read the warning on the chest. I just wanted to open it for demonstrational purposes. With that clarified, the mission's over, and we automatically sell everything we have in our inventory. Except the heirlooms. I guess my hunch was correct. They are some form of currency. For what, I have no idea. But what I do know is that our soldiers leveled up, and one of them gained new personality traits. Let's see, static is red, so I'm guessing that's bad. Unusual dynamism. -20 to healing and stress reduction, so yes, this is bad. But we also got Scoured Knowledge, which gives us extra experience and better scouting chances if the torch is above or below a certain percentage. All in all, not a bad start. Now let's see what the hamlet has in store for us. At the very least, I hope they have a functioning tavern. It's been a long day and I think we can all use a drink, a bath, and some food. Maybe not in that particular order, but it's definitely on our list of priorities.
Such as it is. This squalid hamlet, these corrupted lands, they are yours now. And you are bound to them.
Bound to them? With what exactly? Ropes and chains? Magic? Will demons come after us if we leave the place? Come on, Gramps, you cannot just bound me to something and not tell me with what. No matter. I'll investigate it later on. For now, let's just welcome Gut. What? What is this heresy? His name is Guts, not Bray or Brain or whatever the hell it is. Alright, calm down. This is just a mod, and the name is randomly generated. Let's just check the journal first, and see if there's a way to change the name. As you can see, the activity log says we managed to successfully finish the mission, and our heroes managed to level up. The quest log lists everything we have to do in order to win this. Hopefully we can do this at a reasonable pace. Luckily, there's a help menu I can access whenever I need to. I just have to press and hold H. But I will try to avoid it as much as I can. This is my first playthrough and I want to enjoy it by exploring and finding out things on my own. I'll use it just this once to see how the controls work, and that's about it. But I'm not going to ignore advice if you have any. For now, I'll just concentrate on customizing and checking my characters. So for starters, let's rename Bray into Guts and check his weapons and abilities. His sword can do 8 to 16 damage and his critical chance is 4%. The chest plate doesn't offer any protection, nor does it increase his dodge value. But his basic health is 35, so it's not too much of a problem. As long as we don't encounter enemies that can do passive damage. Because take a look at his resistances. Apart from stun and death blow, everything is below 30%. If he gets dogpiled, he's dead. But at the very least he knows how to handle bleeding and blight. And he can also heal himself or someone else at the campsite. Restless Night increases our scouting chances. We'll find out how that works later on. And Mercenary Sense prevents nighttime ambushes and increases our chances of surprising the enemy while decreasing their chances of surprising us. And now to be honest, I have no idea how camping works in this game. Do we have to find a specific location in the dungeon or can we camp anywhere? In any case, it looks like the usage of camping skills is limited. You know what? I'll worry about that when the time comes. For now, let's take a look at his combat skills. Guts has a repeater crossbow that allows him to attack 3 targets simultaneously, and it also does extra damage against marked targets. Unfortunately, it reduces his dodge and protection by 5, which is rather problematic for him because he has no protection or dodge abilities to begin with. Luckily, he has Rage, which grants him extra protection, debuff resist, movement resist, and marks the target. It should work well with his crossbow. Now the Brand of Sacrifice will stress him up, but it will heal him, mark him, and allow him to riposte, which is basically strike back or parry. And last but not least, his arm cannon. It will do a lot of damage and it will buff him up as a bonus. So I intend to use this as much as I can. But I am somewhat sad that his other abilities are locked away. They seem less self-destructive than his active abilities. I'll try to unlock them as soon as possible, but for now let's take a look at his quirks. Bloodthirsty... Yeah, Guts is very bloodthirsty when he fights, but I doubt he's fascinated with injuries and torture. He does extra damage in the wield and gets extra healing. Not bad. Pretty much Guts lore-wise, so I'm not gonna complain too much. Now let's take a look at our other characters and start renaming them. And from henceforth, the Highwayman will be known as B, the always cunning and lovable rogue that recently got a year older. So as a surprise present for him, I made him a character. And since I know he'll complain about the outfit, I better pick one quickly. So let's see. A couple of color swaps, I presume, and a Bloodborne inspired outfit. I know it's a mod, but I think I'll stick with that one. He has pretty decent resistances, but I'm not going to overanalyze them. We'll just take a quick look of his quirks and abilities and then we'll move on to the next character. B is a known cheat and he cannot gamble in the tavern. But he has a hard noggin which increases his protection against stun. And he is fast enough to react to almost anything immediately. While camping, he can clean his guns, which will increase his accuracy, damage, and critical chance with his ranged skills. And his bandit sense will increase our chances of surprising the enemies, while also decreasing their chances, and prevent nighttime ambushes. Basically, same thing as Guts' mercenary sense. And I'm going to guess that the bandage is heal yourself or a teammate. I'm sorry if I'm rushing this, but it's already past midnight and I have to get up early in the morning. So to keep this short and sweet, happy birthday, Oho! I hope you like the class I selected for you. It's a tanky crusader, which will be very useful in our future endeavors. And as his profession suggests, he is a warrior of light, which means he does extra damage if the torch is above 75. I think I already explained what Scoured Knowledge does, so I'm not gonna bother with that again. God-fearing, he can only distress himself in the church by praying. Right? Kleptomaniac. Oh, my friend, you really need to get some help for that. And finally, we have Static, which will negatively affect any healing spell applied to this character. Our first camping ability is Encourage, which reduces the stress from one companion by 15, and it doesn't do anything else. Honestly, I hoped it would give us a boost of some sort, but beggars can be choosers. But luckily, Stantal will do the same thing as Encourage and also remove a debuff. And finally, we have Zealous Speech, which can reduce the stress for the whole party, and it also reduces the amount of stress we take from battles. We already saw his combat skills in action, so I'm just going to skip them and focus on positioning. As you can see, there are two lines of dots above the combat skills. The yellow dots indicate our squad and where the selected warrior is most effective. The red dots indicate the enemy, and the bigger the red dot, the more effective the warrior is against that particular target. It should also be noted that certain skills cannot be used unless the warrior is in a particular position. That's about everything I know about the game's combat system for now. So I'm just going to skip through the outfits and see if there's anything for Ohu to wear, and then we'll take a look around the hamlet and finish this episode. The artwork and outfits are nice, but I can't choose... Oh, hello! This one looks like he's ready for a fight. So with that finished, let's take a look around the hamlet. But let me just check if I didn't forget anything. I didn't. Let's get on with the tour. Where should we go first? The Abbey? The Tavern? The graveyard's glowing, so let's go there first.
Most will end up here, covered in the poisoned earth, awaiting merciful oblivion.
I hope not. But if they do, I'll make sure they go in after this mocking scumbag. I have no idea who this guy is, and I don't intend to find out. But what I do want to know is which establishments are open.
Women and men, soldiers and outlaws, fools and corpses. All will find their way to us now that the road is clear.
Excellent. The road is clear so we can get new soldiers. And as I already said before, if you want to be one of them, let me know in the comments. Just tell me what class and name you want and I'll put them in. And you know what? I'm glad I'm still playing this, because now I know that the heirlooms can be used to upgrade buildings. If I stopped here, somebody would have told me this in the comments or over Discord, and I would feel like an idiot for not noticing that myself. I won't upgrade anything just yet. I want to unlock more buildings and see what they have to offer. But I will check the new arrivals. Dragon Slayer Ornstein is a female Valkyrie. Very confusing, but we'll see what happens. She is a very capable Varence adventurer, which reduces her stress by 20% when she is in the Varence. But unfortunately, she has a light sensitivity problem, which reduces her damage output by 10% when the light is above 75. Her battle cry has a great potential of stunning 2 opponents in place, but it also reduces her damage output and speed, so I'll have to use it sparingly. The Adrenaline Rush will negate the after effects of the battle cry by increasing her damage output and accuracy, as well as remove Blight and Bleed.
Barbaric rage and unrelenting savagery make for a powerful ally.
I will inspect the new arrivals more carefully in the next episode. For now, we'll take a quick look at them and see what they can do, and then we'll take a look at the last 2 buildings. The Samurai is a very unyielding tone-deaf Eldritch Hater, which means that the Inspiring Tune skill will have lesser effect on him. He prefers to stay in the back and deal damage to the frontline soldiers. His dodge and speed are very high, and his battle abilities focus on mobility and bleeding the opponent. So if I were to categorize him, I would say he is an initiator of fights, and maybe a mixture of a glass cannon. In any case, we'll see how he fares in a fight in the next episode. For now, let's drag him in and take a look at the Bounty Hunter. And our Bounty Hunter is also very sensitive to light, and he fears the unholy, which is zombies and skeletons, I guess. But he is an expert on fighting humans, and his combat skills vary from range to melee, which makes him a very flexible fighter. And it looks like he's very effective against marked and stunned targets. And his camping skills allow him to buff himself up for the next couple of fights, as well as heal himself or someone else. So pretty effective all-around fighter.
The thrill of the hunt. The promise of payment.
As I already said before, we're not gonna upgrade anything just yet. We will just inspect the buildings we have and finish this episode.
Charms gathered from all the forgotten corners of the earth.
The Nomad Wagon offers trinkets and other objects that can enhance our performance, but they're very expensive. I guess there's an upgrade that will reduce the cost of these items, but it will probably cost a lot. But the game has barely begun, so I doubt we'll need any of these items just yet. And it turns out we have a jeweler, who can craft items for us if we bring him enough jewels. Where do we find them? I have no idea. But I will worry about it when the time comes. For now, I'll just check the last building and go to bed.
In time, you will know the tragic extent of my failings.
You mean I can watch the cinematics here? And there's a lot of them, which means I'll be playing this for a while. Good to know. So this is the Hamlet at the moment. I hope you enjoyed the tour, and I hope you will join me in the next episode. Thank you very much for watching. My name has been Bedomy, and good night.